Welcome to the weekly reality recap. I'm going to recap the shows I watched for the week of May 25th, 2025. This is a new format for me, so let me know how you guys like this. The timestamps will be in the description, so you can fast forward to your favorite show if you don't want to sit through the whole thing, but I hope you do. Today, we're going to be talking about The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Summer House, and The Valley. Let's get started with The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't have a whole bunch to say about this past episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta because I joined Carlos King and Dustin Ross on Reality with the King Live, Carlos's popular Monday Night Live reality recap. So if you want to see all of my thoughts about this episode, make sure you go and check out the playback from his live. What I will say is Britt was dead ass wrong for starving those people at her event. That is not how a real housewife is supposed to do things. But the big highlight of the episode was, of course, the return of Phaedra Parks. As I mentioned in another video, I really wasn't excited for Phaedra's return. I knew Phaedra was going to bring lies and sow seeds of chaos. And so I was just kind of like, we could do without her. However, and I mentioned this on Carlos's live, there was something electric about the energy between Phaedra and Portia. I really enjoyed seeing them together. I don't know how long that's going to last or if that's going to do miracles for the season, because we also found out this week that they experienced a series low in demographic for ratings this week, but I think it might help. Kempire pointed out that this was a holiday weekend. Beyonce was also in New York City, so that could have affected the ratings. And so we'll see next week when Phaedra has a full episode if the ratings recover. If not, I don't know what Bravo is going to do because the ratings are continuing to slip for Atlanta. And I think for the entire Real Housewives franchise. And side note with franchise, so when we talk about the Real Housewives, I noticed that we refer to a city as a franchise. I hate that I'm so technical about this, but the actual Real Housewives is the franchise, and then the cities are just cities or like a part of the franchise. So you wouldn't call Atlanta a franchise, but Atlanta is a part of the Real Housewives franchise. I know somebody is going to say it's not that serious, but it's one of those really petty things that every time I see it or hear it, I'm like, ugh. And I may have even been guilty of saying it. So I'm not trying to call anybody out or shade anybody. I'm just pointing it out. Anyway, like I mentioned, to get my full thoughts on this past Real Housewives of Atlanta episode, go check out Carlos King's YouTube and watch the playback from the live on Monday. Let's move on to Summer House. This week on Summer House, we had part one of the reunion, and when reunions are split into multiple parts, you know part one is going to be the most tame. It's when we rehash things that happened that were lighter in the season. We get a little bit of a summary, and we get updates on the cast and what they've been doing since filming stopped. We kick off with Paige, and we're talking about her breakup with Craig. Listen, I want to preface this. I am not Team Paige or Team Craig because they both have characteristics that I personally just don't vibe with, but I dislike Craig in a way that is visceral. My first impression of him was on Winter House, and it was when he was drunk and paying people to switch rooms with him. He was so sloppy and entitled, and he had this smug look on his face that I will never forget. So good on you for finally getting rid of him, Paige, but I am still side-eyeing you for being with him in the first place. Moving on, I think West is genuinely remorseful for the way things ended with Sierra. Sierra is, of course, taking this hard because, as we know, she has not had a good history with romantic relationships and just male relationships in general because of things that are going on with her dad. However, with West, I think Sierra is more embarrassed than anything. It's a shame when any relationship ends, but we've seen her have bad experiences with men on the show, and I think for it to happen once again really sent her on somewhat of a spiral, and she just feels more embarrassed. I do think she will find it in her heart eventually to forgive West, though. And if not forgive him fully, just completely get over the situation. It doesn't seem like she's fully over it. Some people were commenting on the fact that they think that West and Sierra still want each other, and that's why their interactions are so awkward. I personally do not think West is there with Sierra anymore. Don't think he wants to pursue her again romantically. I think he just really wants to be well liked and friends with everybody in the house. The thing that we have to realize is that relationships end, guys. As we're on our journeys through life, sometimes people are collateral damage. Sometimes it's done to you, and sometimes you do it to others. But things happen. We are going to hurt people. We are going to be hurt. It's really unfortunate when it happens on such a public platform, but that's almost a rite of passage in our lifetime, is that we will have our heart broken at some point or another. And if you haven't had your heart broken, you need to be experiencing more life. Oh my gosh, I sound like Carl with more life. As we've seen, Sierra has a lot of deep-rooted familial issues. And I don't know if she's in therapy, but I hope she is. Anytime you're immediately brought to tears whenever you start to discuss your family dynamics, your relationship with your mom or your relationship with your dad, that means that you really should be speaking to somebody about what those issues are. You cannot drink and curse your way through it. And I'm hoping she can heal. Let's talk about Kyle. Now, I personally, maybe unpopular opinion, I've always liked Kyle. Kyle is Summer House. I can say that I understand when the fandom dislikes him, but I don't usually feel the same. What's happening with Kyle and Amanda is we watch them go from boyfriend and girlfriend to engaged to married couple, and there are so many different layers and phases of a relationship, and we've been watching those play out on TV. If you've ever been in a long-term relationship, you know that it's not always the honeymoon phase. The way they handle those different phases of their relationship on camera is sometimes not the healthiest. But everybody on the cast, current and past housemates, have said that Kyle and Amanda are made for each other. And when you spend a lot of time around them, you really understand their dynamic. Imrul was there, and I want to just say something about Imrul. I don't know that there's this big conspiracy to cut him out of the show. I think, unfortunately, Imrul was just going to be another flop cast member. The sex thing was salacious at first, but that fizzles out really quickly. And while I know people harped on the fact that we didn't get to learn more about his earnest efforts, like building the school in the country that he's from, I don't know how much more interesting that would have made Emerald as a cast member. He just doesn't seem like a natural fit with the rest of the group. Then, of course, we talk about Jesse and Lexi. This season was the Jesse and Lexi show all day. Jesse is so lame to me. Lexi is certainly no angel either, but Jesse, I don't know. Just to hear that a man in his 30s, the first and last time he was ever in love was in high school, just confirms everything that I thought about him. While he seems like a fun guy, and I think he had a really good season when he first started the show, this season showed exactly who he is. He's an F-boy who desperately needs to grow up. Anyway, we're getting part 2 of the reunion next week, so I will be back to talk about it. Let's move on to the Valley. Fandom is interesting. I don't understand what they aren't understanding about Jasmine's point of view when it comes to the Danny groping her girlfriend or fiance. She explained it very clearly. She's in a lesbian relationship and she feels a way about having to defend that or prove that it's a real thing. She always feels like it's over-sexualized or not taken as seriously as heterosexual relationships. Listen, we can't police how long somebody feels offended when they're done wrong, especially when that wrongdoing is their friend literally groping their girlfriend. If Danny was Jax, people would understand Jasmine's point of view a lot more. But because Danny is married to Nia and Nia is a fan favorite, people want to villainize Jasmine due to their own binary way of thinking, which says to them, if they understand what Jasmine's saying, then that must mean that they hate Danny and Nia. Or if they support Danny and Nia, then they have to hate Jasmine. And nothing is as black and white as that. You can like Nia as a cast member and think her and Danny have a great marriage and still completely understand why Jasmine feels the way she feels. You don't have to choose either or. Danny did a great job of apologizing again to Jasmine and her girlfriend at their lunch, but we can be upset with the girl for feeling the way she feels. Moving on, Janet, you need to stop making Jason do your dirty work. It's so transparent. It's so late. Stop it. We saw Jax this episode, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say it again. We don't need Jax on the Valley. I keep forgetting about him. And the fact that he is continuing to harass Brittany from rehab shows that he is not willing to change at all. Now let's talk about his bestie, Kristen. Kristen has this thing that she does that annoys the shit out of me. And it's when she goes into this attack dog mode over her friends or a rumor that is being spread about someone that she's close with. I wholeheartedly understand backing up your friend and being there for them, but it feels like she forces it a little bit. I don't know. You guys notice that? I can't stand it. This episode, we also get cameos from Lala and Sheena Shea. And let me tell you, Lala was doing too much. She was 100% trying to create a moment for herself when she was coming at Jesse, talking about, I usually side with the chick, da-da-da-da-da. You don't usually side with the chick. But you know what? In her defense, Lala has evolved over the years, so I don't want to hold her past against her. I think we all change, so maybe she is in a different phase in life where she does does want to side with the chick. But while it was cool to see familiar faces on the Valley, I wasn't living for it. Her and Sheena almost came off like flunkies to me in this episode. We didn't get a ton from Jesse and Michelle this week, and to be honest, I'm okay with that. But we'll see what happens next week. So that's it for my weekly reality recap. Like I said, let me know in the comments how you like this format. And as always, let me know what you think about my opinion on these shows. That's it for me. Until next week. Bye.